Thank you so much for watching and welcome to the Subspace Parlor's first ever season recap. This time we're recapping season 1 of TOS. You may see us looking at our notes throughout.
Yes, this might be one of the few times that we're going to reference other materials.
And as you know, Mike's first time watching all of Star Trek. I've watched it a bunch of times.
If I could say, this was an absolute pleasure. It was a delight. And he actually has a list of questions and things.
Topics. And I don't know if you saw, Mike, but the first thing on here.
I already forgot it.
Special surprise for Mike.
Oh, no.
So, hold on.
Or maybe, oh, yes.
To commemorate you finishing your very first season of Star Trek. Little gift for you, just to commemorate your first season.
Did you wrap this?
Yes, very poorly.
I'm a worse rapper. If anybody has rapping advice, this will be for next year, I guess. But like, I rap. I don't even want to say anything cruel, but I rap like Lazarus.
There you go. There you go.
Spoiler alert: he was our least favorite guest star.
Like Spock when he was blinded in that one episode, he could rap better.
But let's see what we got here.
I figured if anyone should get you your first Star Trek shirt, it should be me. I reached out to a family member of yours to get the size. So if it's wrong, let me know.
No,
sometimes these run small. So.
No, this actually looks like it runs pretty big. Look at this guy. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Wow. Figured, since whenever you go to a convention, I know you're not going to wear this in your everyday life. Not yet, at least.
What do you mean?
You'll get to.
You don't know me. I thought you knew me. You don't know what I wear in my everyday life.
Anyways, I wanted to get you something that at least looked kind of cool. And
I think it looks awesome.
So yeah. Let's get into it. I'm glad you like it. All right, Michael. So, first question.
Formal.
So, how does Star Trek compare to the expectations that you had, or maybe if you had them going in?
That blew away expectations. Blew away. There was... Sorry, I'm bringing you up again, Lazarus.
When he's talking about Lazarus from the episode The Alternative Factor...
No, don't worry. I'm sure the audience is going to be like, we hate him too.
Oh, I'm sure.
It blew away expectations.
Yeah.
Not once has this felt like work. I love it. I love him posting the shorts and the videos and seeing comments. And again, it doesn't feel like work. And again, that was the point of this channel. We want to do something fun and interactive. And plus, it would have made you cry if I said, I can't do this anymore, man. But no, in all seriousness, for a multitude of reasons I'm sure we're about to get into, blew away expectations. No, I don't even need to think about that.
Yeah.
So,
and I actually wrote a question for myself. Yahel, how was watching it? Oh, why don't you read that?
He doesn't trust me to ask the right question. So the narcissist, I'm going to take back what we just said.
This man for 2 weeks has been telling me he's going to send me a list of things that he's going to write up. It never arrived in my inbox. Right. So I had to write my own question. I actually only wrote one for myself, which was just basically how was watching TOS with you? See, how was watching season 1 with you different from previous watch throughs?
Sure.
And, there's been times that I've told you before, like on and off camera, that some things that you've brought up, like during Balance of Terror, you discussed the Cuban Missile Crisis for a little bit and some similarities there and some analogies that they were making. Just stuff like I hadn't thought about.
Yeah.
So I watched it through a different lens. There were a couple episodes. The one that kind of sticks out the most, Corbomite Maneuver, that I actually ended up liking a little less when I watched it with you. Outside of that one, and Lazarus, obviously, I enjoyed watching that more with you because at least I had someone to complain about it. So yeah, it's been eye-opening seeing it through your eyes.
Any top of your head episodes the opposite better than you remembered? Because some of these you say you truly don't remember that much.
I mean, honestly, almost every episode is better. Like Balance of Terror, which is an episode that I loved, you made better with your commentary. There was another episode, I think it was maybe A Taste of Armageddon, where you also brought up some historical context.
Possibly.
But yeah, I mean, and obviously watching it with your best friend, like Star Trek fans, we want to watch this stuff with our best friend. So that alone, I think we need to discuss the big three, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. So I was just curious about your take on Kirk versus like the stereotype and reputation he has in pop culture. If you even knew about it, you may not have. And how Kirk compares to like other TV character leaders or captains.
Do you mean in general of the time?
Just in general. Just in general.
Well, I will say this. Like, I knew Shatner was always on Star Trek. I almost thought Kirk was Patrick Stewart just because.
Because Patrick Stewart's on TNG.
Yeah, exactly. And just in my head, I honestly knew nothing. Essentially, which I thought was interesting in watching this. I mean, just how charismatic he is. If we're going to talk about Kirk for a second.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
I made a few, because of the 60s, a lot of his cadence reminded me of Adam West, which, you know, in later years, like you said too, some people think he's a bad actor. Like Adam West always had that deep, very similar to Kirk, I feel like, in the Batman episodes. But also I feel like, because even though the circumstances might sometimes be hokey, Kirk never treats anything like a parody.
Shatner,
Shatner, sorry. And that makes you believe it. Because also, you know, even if, you know, it's a bad costume like the Gorn or...
You know, I have in my notes to talk about the Gorn later, but since you brought it up...
I think you thought I was going to laugh more at the Gorn.
At the costume. And you, from what I recall, I haven't edited the Arena episode yet, but you make a comment during the discussion, I'm pretty sure, where you say, you know, because you had seen the Gorn outfit before. You go, you know, I thought I was going to have make more jokes about the costume, but the story like sucked you in.
And that's a compliment, I think. And I think in a lot of these episodes even, and we comment, we don't need to rehash on the planets and some of the lighting. Some are better than worse. But for the most part, the acting's so good, I take it out of my head that it's a 1960s
and the writing,
show. And I've referenced Willy Wonka often, but I mean, to me, that's an example. Like, you know, like the 6 kids in Wonka, it's also compelling that I'm not even really thinking about the hokiness of like the mushrooms they're eating or the river of chocolate. Like, I'm invested. So, and I think with the Gorn, I think you expected me to really pop for it. And
I thought you were, but instead you ended up, I wish I could remember exactly what you said, but you ended up talking about some of the themes, the ethical dilemma of the episode.
It's about halfway through the season, right? Slightly more, maybe?
I think so, yeah.
Because I feel like the second half of the season, I don't know if better is the right word, but the second... Stronger. And there was only really, except the Lazarus episode. And also I feel like a lot of the second half of season 1, those episodes had more of, and that's something I wrote that I enjoyed, and I'm sure we'll get to it, stuff addressing ethics and morality, kind of world questions in general, like, you know, I top of the head, like what loneliness does to a man's heart. That was actually, that might have been one of the few. That was one, and that's why I thought of it. But there's a lot of world points of view that, if you're listening to what they're saying, and about idealism and just, again, to put in context, like we're in the middle of the Cold War. So these were questions that probably lingered in pop culture, and Star Trek addressed. You know,
they found a way to address it through these aliens and these like wild scenarios, but ultimately
getting to know, you know, like even some of the stuff where like with the Gorn, he's like he didn't kill it furthermore because he's like, you know what, maybe we messed up first, you know, stuff like that, and that's food for thought about. I mean, stuff going on in the world now. Not to get into it, but you know.
If I remember the quote, and I'm sure it's not exactly like this, but I think it was Gene Roddenberry that said something like Star Trek is basically a show that tries to hold a mirror up to society.
You know, I don't want to say people live in a bubble, but sometimes I think we do. And I said that life and everything gets in the way. But then either whether it's a war or a tragedy or something terrible like a killing of some sort, then suddenly, especially now in social media, you see people are talking about these topics that sometimes, unless something bad happens, you know, or good, but I feel like more bad, people choose to ignore maybe questions of idealism and morality and doing the right thing that we otherwise wouldn't be forced to address. And Star Trek kind of, you know, just especially at the end of a lot of these episodes or in some of the speeches of Kirk or some of the other characters,
food for thought.
It'll give you food for thought that, you know, you might be like, I didn't think of it that way.
Well, this was a question about Kirk, by the way.
He's a beautiful man. Is that the question? How old was he? Like 35?
I would guess in his 30s. I'm pretty sure he's like 33 or 35.
I could see that, yeah.
But I don't want to say because I'll just get roasted in the comments.
You can please roast him. I live for it.
We talked a lot of times, especially in the first half of the season, when we started seeing vulnerabilities with Kirk.
Absolutely.
But he was still always a strong leader.
He wasn't, but I'll say this about the vulnerabilities. They played out very nicely. And I know, especially some of these episodes weren't shot in order and whatnot. And in the video we just watched, actually, they were talking about all the budget concerns of the first season that delayed some and whatever. But a lot of the stuff that happened in the second half of the season, it means more because there were like 2 or 3 episodes in a row, I wrote in my notes, where they say, like, Captain, you're overworked. And it plays into the episode, though.
Yeah.
And then you learn more about kind of his duality, which a couple of the early episodes addressed how these 2 Kirks need to exist together for him to function as a leader.
Yeah, an enemy within.
Yeah, which was fantastic. That theme is played on later on, though, too. And it's like they go back to the storyline when he's in Academy with...
It was when he was Gary Mitchell's professor or teacher at the academy?
Perhaps. I'm trying to remember exactly.
It was where no man has gone
I
before.
feel like a couple episodes they reference his time in the academy.
And in Shore Leave, they reference it because Finnegan was like his tormentor
yeah,
at the
I think that's why I'm
academy.
thinking of that too.
Yeah.
And to say even later seeing who we just saw that we loved the episode at the end, how you said they were kind of the same person.
Oh, Core.
Fantastic. But that meant more because we had learned about Kirk at the time.
Yeah.
So when you say that, and even how those two are interacting, it puts in your head that this is so interesting. Like Kirk's kind of dealing with somebody very similar to himself, and that was a great episode.
All right, so real quick, let's do Spock. Just what did you think about his development? I'll ask you like a pretty pointed question. What did you think about his development from where we saw him in the beginning through all the way to the end?
I thought we saw a lot of development because I feel like especially in the more recent ones we just watched, they said you might have more human in you than you once realized.
It feels like he loosened up a little bit.
He loosened up a lot, and I don't think it was the pilot episode when you wrote that they wrote him or he played it
in the cage. Well, in the cage he's more emotional in the original pilot actually. I think the Galileo 7 is maybe the first time we saw him do something illogical to save the crew in the shuttle.
Yeah.
And he's almost like bewildered with himself that he did
But I
something
think that's
illogical.
an interesting philosophy because no matter what you believe in anything, pick something, politics, the way you live your life, sometimes the ultimate answer might be not what you expect. It could be the opposite. And I think even just saying that's life advice. It's like, you know what, 9 times out of 10 I would have done this, but by doing this, I surprised myself.
Yeah.
And he's highly intelligent. So I think to have those moments are very, very telling. And it's fun to watch them unfold.
Yeah.
So,
and then just to see him from how he's very strict in the beginning of the season. And then towards the end, when we get to this side of paradise, we learn about this woman that he kind of has feelings for, kind of doesn't, but couldn't really express it. But then, because he gets the drug he can.
That was incredible. We love that episode.
And then at the end, like it's heartbreaking. He breaks her heart when he comes out of it. And like the last line he says is, "For once, I was happy." And it's just like, that's how the episode ends. It's just like, damn.
People just want to see these people get together and shoot the shit sometimes. Like they kind of don't care about the story just because it's like, man, if I could see Spock in something new one more time or something.
You just reminded me, there's a scene I think it's in the Corbomite maneuver when they put Bones puts Kirk on a salad diet, like dry salad.
That was hilarious too.
And it's like in the middle of the episode, maybe a little less in the middle of the episode, and they're just kind of like bickering back and forth about the salad. And I turned to you and I said, I don't remember if I left this in the YouTube edit or not, but I turned to you and I could just watch a whole episode of them.
That's it.
Bickering back and forth.
That's what people want to see. They just want to see more of these characters.
The characters are so good.
Another one that I'll reference because I like to hear if people have similar. There's probably other characters that have similar relationships, like Holmes and Watson, in the Sherlock. And I know you probably don't know these stories very well. The stories were mostly about like a case that Holmes was solving, and like 90% of the story, the short story, or the longer. I'm talking about the books, not any of the movies. It's the business and it's the episode.
Mike,
but there's those slight moments at like the beginning when Holmes is either smoking a pipe or he like did cocaine and stuff because 100 years ago that was like a common thing to do.
Coca-Cola.
But you would just see a couple. It reminds me of Bone. It reminds me of the Big Three. It's like, and you read that half a page, you're like, I wish this was 20 pages.
I can see the comments right now. I'll just leave it at your knowledge of Holmes, of Sherlock Holmes will be rewarded eventually in Star Trek. Sherlock, that's all I'm going to say. That's all anybody needs to say. Don't comment about it.
I was about to say it, but I didn't. The one thing about when Spock's doing something illogical, Holmes has a great comment that
when you've ruled out
everything that's possible, whatever improbable, however
whatever remains, no matter how improbable,
it must be the truth. And that what we were just talking about reminded me of that.
See, are you surprised I knew that?
I am a little bit. Which now I'm curious, how much Holmes stuff is about to come up?
Don't worry about it.
Do I have 400 episodes for it to come up?
You do have a while.
But I know where you're going next because we're going. Bones, I knew nothing about going into this, Dr. McCoy.
Yeah.
I didn't really know he was a character. Is he not as popular in pop culture? Or
I would say Kirk and Spock are more popular.
Like those, I knew Kirk and Spock. Bones, I didn't.
I mean, from what I understand, I'm sure people in the comments will correct me if I'm wrong.
Please do. I look for that.
Spock got the most fan mail. Okay. Apparently, he was a bit of a heartthrob. And followed by Kirk.
He's tall and lean. I could see it.
I think the character, just really speaks to people.
Almost like,
especially like if you're like a neurodivergent person, I could see him speaking to you. And Bones is a little older, right? But he's still a great character. I would say.
I was wondering him too. How old? I mean, he's probably like 38, 39.
In this, no, he's older than that.
think he's
He
older?
was the oldest of them.
But I like, though, his sarcasm, to say about him, a lot of his sarcasm and stuff works because I feel like he looks a little weathered and he's seen more of it,
Yeah. I feel like we got like most of Bones' development in the Man Trap, the first episode, because we learned a lot of his backstory then.
Yeah, it's funny. Even initially, remember, I thought the professor was going to be a main character.
Yeah, that's right.
He was pretty heavily featured in that first episode.
But then you learn like, oh, there's almost always a guest.
I didn't realize.
Featured. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I love McCoy. I love his sarcasm. I love his back and forth with Spock. I love how he's like, he balances them out, kind of.
Yeah.
Spock and Kirk.
Absolutely.
I love.
But something I could say, which I don't know if you're going to get to it, but like a pleasant surprise, especially the way these end. There's almost for the big three, there's at least one or two episodes where they completely act the opposite. Like I wrote this down: Spock falling in love, Bones in a city on the edge of forever. And
Kirk a few times.
Yeah, actually, Kirk, it's happened multiple events.
Anytime there's a double.
I'll just say Kirk's duality a lot because that's addressed, or him being overworked and his love for the Enterprise. Like those three themes kind of seem like the Kirk themes. But because you learn about these characters and you see the bickering, but also friendship and love between them, it makes you care. So like even when that happened to McCoy and even Spock falling in love, for me, that really spoke to me because I'm like, wow, this is not something you're even going to see. You might see this once a season. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's not like every two episodes, oh, now Spock's in love or McCoy.
Yeah, and even though McCoy hasn't had like, I know This Side of Paradise isn't a Spock episode per se. There's a lot of Spock development in it. And McCoy, I feel like, hasn't had that kind of an episode yet, but he gets so many great scenes, like in the Balance of Terror, when Kirk is like questioning himself. He has a one-on-one scene with Bones, and Bones gives him a pep talk about how, there's only one Kirk in the universe out of all of the galaxies, and blah, blah, make sure you don't destroy him, blah, blah. He basically gives like this
like
amazing
a pep talk of some kind.
And that's how they develop Bones. With these like little moments. But
like I said, also the fact though, I mean, that plays into what I said, that, he's a little bit older. He might have some more life experience, even though he's not always the most featured character. He kind of makes the most of all his screen time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, he's great.
Anytime Bones is on there, it's kind of no wasted space, like in a poem or something.
Yeah.
It means something and it's important to the story, and he just kind of kills it.
Yeah.
I never feel like, being forced Bones like Lazarus down my throat.
And he's so funny, man. Like, I can't remember which episode.
Like, I forgot about the salad thing. I feel like we both laughed out loud.
Yeah. When there's an episode, it might have been the Corbomite maneuver as well. Actually, yeah, it is. In the beginning of the episode when Kirk's doing the leg exercise, and Kirk yells at Bones because he didn't tell him that the red alert sign was flashing. And Bones says something like, "What am I, a doctor or a flashlight?" I can't remember what he said, but it was really funny as kids. All right.
I'm sure you remember what he said, so correct him again.
Yeah, correct.
Keep going.
So real quickly, just the supporting cast. Any thoughts on Uhura, Sulu, Scotty, Chapel, or Yeoman Rand?
Yeah, I want to say again, nothing but positive. They make the most of their screen time. Actually, something I wrote down, and again, he's in a lot of episodes. I feel like I don't know. I felt like always they were like alternating Scotty and Sulu because maybe for the most part there was only so much space in the episode for like one strong second tier character. So I don't know the lot,
I know that.
I don't know if I'm just thinking that, but I feel like it's either one or the other. Sometimes they're both there. But
I know that some episodes Sulu isn't there because he's shooting like movies or a movie.
Okay.
So I know that happens a few times. I will say I think the best Scotty episode that he's in is A Taste of Armageddon.
Is that with the Commodore when he
stands
up? Yeah. I love that. That's what I wrote down.
It wasn't a Commodore. It was like a guy that ran a colony or something.
Yeah, but he was telling him he was giving him an order, and Scotty literally said, "I won't do it, no," or something. And he like stood up and put his arm, and we popped. I remember. I popped. And I'm like.
And we've seen Scotty be in command a few times when Kirk's on a planet, but he like took
No, this was really,
command.
this was different. It felt different. It was a different side of him that we've seen. And again, I think that's human nature that sometimes when let's assume it's a job we're talking about, you've worked somewhere long enough, you know your job, you know what you're doing, and also the loyalty. And when he stood up for himself, it was a moment that he was like, no, F you. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And you cheer for the character and you're like, that's a side of him. It might not come out often. But there's a side to him that'll do that.
Yeah.
Which, again, reinforces just almost, we've said this a few times, how much of a family they are.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Uhura, she doesn't get a ton of time in this season, but a lot of times they cut to her, I feel like, to get her to have a reaction to the situation. And she does a great job, Nichelle Nichols, at selling the severity of the situation. Like when they first beam down to the planet on the city on the edge of forever, and she, the situation starts happening, and she tells, Kirk, I'm scared. And she just sells it.
Yeah. You're right. She doesn't get a ton of screen time, and you're right. Most of it seems to be business, the business of what's going on. But it's not like, I don't think we've had a real personal moment.
I think it might have been in The Naked Now or
The Naked Time.
Yeah, it might have been that one where basically Kirk yells at her about something, and she yells right back, and he ends up apologizing, and they both tone it down.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've seen her show some character. We saw her singing in Charlie X.
We saw her singing a few times. She's a strong character, and I feel like she's just right below so far what we've seen Scotty and Sulu, and I don't want to say importance, but in screen time and whatnot. And
then I would say, as far as Sulu's been great, again, maximizes his minutes. Nurse Chapel, she basically got an episode with What Our Little Girls Made of, the Android episode. We learned about her fiance, and she had a great performance in that episode. And then Yeoman Rand, this is one of the things I've really enjoyed about watching this with you, is I don't know how, when I first watched TOS before, the couple times, I didn't pick up all the times that they allude to Yeoman Rand and Kirk having feelings for each other. A little back and forth, yeah. And you picked up on it, I think, the second episode.
It was in 4 of the first 8 episodes.
You picked up on it immediately.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think she's great.
Yeah, she was very good.
I would have loved if this season they had done an episode that concentrated mostly on just Sulu, Scotty, and Uhura. Maybe they're trapped somewhere and they have to figure out.
Maybe the big 3 are on a planet. Yeah, right. And maybe there's even an argument between the 3 about
something happens.
Philosophy or how to proceed. Or
something happens, and the supporting characters have to save the big 3.
And maybe the episode is more heavily on them, and the big 3 are kind of more just whatever they're doing.
Moving right along, just into themes. How well do you think some of the commentary holds up? But we've already kind of alluded how some of the things that they're talking about are issues that are still going on. So,
and I always believe history repeats itself. So I mean, it might be every 60 or 80 or 100 years, but some of these themes about utopia and idealism and there's more we're forgetting. But a lot of these episodes that kind of have a great wrap up, or even the more personal stuff that might not be talking world or nation philosophies, but what loneliness can do to a man's mind or something that speaks to anybody having mental health issues, anybody out of a relationship, anybody in so many ways. And that's, how could you not, you hear that after a good episode, how could you in some way not relate to that?
Yeah, or at least understand it. So Dagger of the Mind.
There's more of that than I expected going into this. It's not just...
You answered literally my next question. Were you surprised by how philosophical and thoughtful Trek is?
Yeah, because honestly, I thought for a second going into this,
this is going to be science fiction plots from the 60s.
Almost like you said which episode they said was too cerebral?
The Cage pilot.
Yeah, which you're that might, and you know what? I wouldn't want to see it, but I don't mind because it's interesting because I've said this in the recaps, you're learning about the world and whatnot. But if every episode was cerebral and mostly talking, or if every episode, one thing I'll say because I think I wrote in my notes, the episodes, I mean, there's just variety. Some will have aliens, some will be more a mentor,
like Charlie
X mentor-son relationship. Another could be Kirk being overworked. There's a great variety. If it's not every episode, even though a lot of episodes have, we always say the ticking time.
Yeah, sure, but that's TV in general.
It is, and it's not every episode. I mean, you're right. You could say Law and Order has that. Well, if we don't catch this killer,
he might kill somebody else.
Hours, so that is
sometimes the killer literally sets a bomb, with a timer somewhere.
But even we said there's, I don't know.
Yeah,
what is it? Maybe 2/3 of the episodes have either aliens or costumes. A lot of them don't.
Yeah. I mean,
a lot of them just have different nations or communities talking. And
I don't know how many times it made it into the YouTube edits, but I would say 90% of the episodes from season one of us would say to the other, "This is completely different than the other episodes."
It is, and that's again a strength to the writing and whatnot, and obviously directing and acting, because you don't want to see the same thing 29 times.
So we've already kind of touched on a lot of these that I had written down a few episodes and just their themes to kind of discuss, but we've already kind of done it. Dagger of the Mind, talking about loneliness and the power it can have. Enemy Within, accepting that you have that darker side of you that you have to control,
which again, not
sometimes you need it.
We all do. We have stuff about ourselves we like and stuff that we don't like. And so that's.
I only have things about me I love.
I do I self-loathe often.
There's a discussion where you said, I've got a lot to say about self-loathing. I think it was at the end of the Dagger of the Mind. I put it in the discussion. It was pretty funny. This Side of Paradise, we talked about like heartbreak and like, I'll get to that in a second. Devil in the Dark, about prejudice and understanding with the Horda creature that was laying eggs.
Yes.
Errand of Mercy, which was the one with the Klingon core where we like meet the Klingons. That one
again, just to say, like, because some of these episodes are replicated. We've said this in discussion. It's sometimes fun when it's not the obvious villain, and you're wondering, well, maybe the Enterprise or these other planets are in error by going into an area or territory that was peaceful, and and that's how the conflict started.
Do you find, Mike? Because I remember in the first few episodes, I think maybe like the first 4 or 5 episodes, so basically the first 2 recording sessions, you were kind of like, you said a few times like, I'm not sure who the bad guy is, right? I don't feel like there's a villain. And now you don't really like say that anymore. Have you found now that like, because Star Trek doesn't always have a clear cut bad guy.
Actually, I think that's something I didn't expect, if I could say. I would think every episode it's like, all right, what galaxy or planet?
Bad alien of the week or something.
Exactly. Right? And like,
It's a little more complex.
I think I'm learning to be a little more patient. In an episode, I'll say too, which I know, and again, this is a credit, I think, to the acting, the storytelling. We watched this Side of Paradise right after A Taste of Armageddon, which we loved. And that just, coming off a really good episode, I feel like it's hard, even on us reviewing it, because we're like so worked up or excited about it, that it's like, oh man, like anything, our expectations might be like really high or something. It's like when you have a good first date, the second one is like, and why am I here?
And it's hard not to compare the next.
It's impossible, which I wanted to say, I can't wait eventually when we get to the rewatch of a lot of people in the comments on the one after Charlie X.
Where No Man Has Gone Before.
We kind of were hard, I want to say, in that episode. And I think it was a combination of, we were a little tired and we thought a bit of the theme was a bit repetitive, moments of it at least, of Charlie X. And that surprised me. I kind of want to like go rewatch it now. I won't. I'll wait. I'm like, maybe we were hard on that episode because a lot of people in the comments seem to think it was one of the best ones.
I think it was also like, it was the first time we were recording. We usually record anywhere from 2 to 4, usually 3 episodes in a session. And that was our very first session. We had some technical issues, and so we were kind of finding our way. And so, it was a lot
might be on us. And again,
we need to give it a rewatch.
I even want to say to the audience too, like if there's stuff you like more about our more recent episodes, whenever this airs compared to our early ones, if you think we improved in some way, or if there's stuff.
If you think we got worse, keep it to yourself. We don't want to hear it.
We're open to criticism.
We're not open to criticism.
We're not open to criticism.
I'm just kidding. We aim to do 3 episodes, but if we're not feeling it or we're a little tired,
the energy is low.
We'll just do 2. Actually, when we did not a Taste of Armageddon, when we did the Lazarus episode, the Alternative Factor, we only did that 1 episode.
Did we?
Yeah, we did it by itself because you happened to be in town, and I told you like, listen, man, this one we should just.
And then I thought I should have gone home
because I knew the energy. I knew it was bad, and I knew it would just like bring the energy down.
Really, that was the only episode where I'm just watching it. Oh my god, can I just say?
You were like, this is what I thought Star Trek was going to be like.
No, kind of like, terrible. I don't know what is it. The faded pink and purple and blue.
Oh, the negative
kind of fighting sequences. You can't really see what's going on, and it seems to go on forever. I'm just, oh god.
Yeah, but you were saying something about how we watched This Side of Paradise after A Taste of Armageddon.
Oh no, but the point I was going to make there is that was an episode that I don't want to say it started slow. It started like an okay episode, but and I feel like it was the philosophies and even the storyline, it picked up significantly. I thought.
By the end, we were like loving.
Yeah, I was like, this was almost as good as A Taste of Armageddon. And I just said, I was like, at the beginning of this episode, my energy was getting low, and I forget it, honestly, if it was the storyline or just how things developed. I was like, okay, this episode's really good.
Yeah, we ended up loving it.
And again, that's actually something I have in my notes. One thing I have found that I like when they start hot. It's, it's a hot start.
Like a hot, cold open. Sure.
Yeah, because a few of these that I've rewatched already, it's like, wow, in the first 2 minutes, like I already have 1,000 questions. It seems like the stakes are super high. There's a lot going on. But that was one that started a little slower. And again, that's a credit to the writing and the acting. It's like, and also the variety. I'm like, not every episode's going to be the same. Not every episode is going to be like an SVU where, there's a homicide, there's a serial killer. Let's fix it.
Again, we're watching in release order, not production order, so I don't know if it was produced after A Taste of Armageddon, but it was the perfect episode to watch after A Taste of Armageddon. And you pointed out that the title, This Side of Paradise, is almost the inverse of A Taste of Armageddon.
And I wonder...
And that's kind of what we need.
Do you think they come up with those episode titles? Because even I know, like, when I audition for film and TV, a lot of times it's like working titles. It's not what it's actually going to be.
I know, like, a lot of them
I wonder
are
if they
like,
came up with that after they filmed it?
I don't know. I know a lot of titles in TOS are kind of like based on like Shakespeare and stuff, or they allude to it. So I really don't know that. But anyways, the only other one I had, which we've already talked about, is Balance of Terror. Where there's themes of dealing with prejudice, because like Styles is like prejudice against Vulcans. Kirk has that great... I don't know if it's really a speech, but he yells at Styles on the bridge, like, leave your bigotry in your quarters. There's no room for it on the bridge. I do think we have to talk a little bit about The City on the Edge of Forever. I don't think it's going to be a secret to anyone that's seen a reaction that's our top episode.
I loved it for so many reasons. I might be jumping the gun here, but something I might want to see more of. I mean, we saw it a bit with Rand, and then, she was kind of ridden off, or stuff was going on, you kind of alluded to. But you see that in Kirk, and I was like, or even if it's Spock or Bones or something, it's like, right now I care enough about these characters that if one of them somehow, whether it's fall in love or...
You want to see some romance
or maybe they neglect duty because they have feelings for somebody. It's like, and I'll just use that as an example. It's like, well, okay, I messed up because I was talking, whatever it is.
Yeah, I let my feelings get...
It's like I want to see these people happy, and who's not happy being in love? So that's something I was like, what, if there's a couple episodes that go in a direction where there's some kind of romance or something, I'm like, I'm kind of ready for it now, because I've learned enough about these characters. It's like, it's not like a sitcom where in the first 3 episodes, like, all right, well, they're together, and another girl flirts with the guy, or whatever it is. It's like, it's been built up enough that, like, I want to also see him happy. That's why the Spock episode made me sad, because we saw that moment when he's like, oh.
Yeah, he has to break her heart, and he's breaking his own heart too.
Yeah, and a multitude of levels.
Oh man, like I got to be honest, like I almost teared up when at the end Spock said, for once.
I was watching the show, not you. You may have teared up. Okay. Zoom in on that rewatch and see if you can tell me if you cried.
I said almost. Oh, dude, there's going to be some TNG episodes that always get me.
Sitting on the Edge of Forever got me. I will say at the end of it, just watching it. And not even just that Kirk's in love, but just everything, the stakes. I mean, not to rehash our conversation on that, but also just the fact that it was in New York City and the time period. You also always say no spoilers. What's this Deep Space Nine? Do you want to take this away?
This wasn't in the notes, but you reminded me of it. Have I ever told you the Martin Luther King Star Trek story?
You have not.
So at one point, I believe it might have been after season 1, Uhura was going to leave the show.
Oh. Okay.
She wanted to go do this thing on Broadway and blah, blah. She wanted to do all this stuff. And, she's not getting a ton of screen time. And I don't remember, like, she's told the story a bunch of times, Nichelle Nichols, the actress for Uhura, where she was at some kind of event or whatever, and she was talking to Martin Luther King. And basically, she told him, he tells her, like, oh, we love you on the show. It's like the only thing we let our kids watch.
And that touched her.
Well, there's more to that. And she goes, well, I'm actually thinking of, I'm going to leave the show. Wow. And he tells her, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Don't you see? This is a future. This is the only time we see Black people in the future, and you're not a maid.
Yeah.
You're an equal member. You're part of the command crew. She's like, you can't leave.
That's so powerful.
And that's why she stayed.
It's so funny. I'm going to build on the thought. I just answered her comment.
Paraphrased it, I know, but it's a gist.
No, I just answered a question in the Menagerie Part 1 where somebody talked about, do you remember the comment? It was a Hispanic commander or lieutenant.
Oh, yeah. Somebody was talking about how the Commodore Mendez was Hispanic.
And I don't think you read it. I was at the gym a couple hours ago watching our own Final
Watching yourself on the treadmill.
The person next to me was like, who's this narcissist?
He's not a narcissist, though.
But the point I'm trying to make is on Pee-wee's Playhouse. Paul Rubens talks about, and he was also gay and stayed closeted for a very long time, and he talks about the struggle of hiding who you really are. And he talked about in the casting of that show the importance of the person who was Reba, the male lady was a Black woman. The King of Cartoons was Black. Lawrence Fishburne was the cowboy. There was a guy, Ricardo, I forget the real actor's name, but he said, kind of the same thing. It said, I found it important, but he's like, I not only wanted to make the cast that, but I just didn't want it ever to be addressed. The actress, I forget her name, that played Reba, the male lady, said in the Paul Rubens documentary, which is fantastic, Pee-wee is himself on HBO Max, she said, I found it so important that young Black children could watch a show like this and see me in a similar thing in a position of power, and just, which wasn't every day on kid shows of that era. And she just said, I found vast importance, and it means a lot to me today that the show was this way.
So out of the technology we've seen, out of the transporters, phasers, and tricorders, if you could have one of those three, which would you have?
I kind of like the phaser.
Oh, really?
I do.
See, I'm surprised you didn't go with transporter, because then you could travel real fast and avoid the airport.
No, but lately I upgraded my Delta card, so I enjoy getting upgraded to first class on flights and pretending I'm somebody of importance.
I would rather save the 8 hours at the airport. But phasers, yeah, and I do like how we've seen the phaser used as a weapon and a tool. A few times. So
it's also a less violent thing, and I'm
that's true. That's true. They can set it to stun.
I'm less aggressive by nature.
Any of the fight scenes that stood out to you that you recall? I know, like for me, the Gorn fight scene is a classic.
Which, and I said this at the time, you said slight spoiler, like he got injured during that, right?
Not during the fight, there's a bunch of explosions in the beginning of the episode.
Oh, and like one of those.
Yeah, remember? They give him tinnitus.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or tetanus, or I don't know.
Any fight scene that stands out, as far as physicality,
they're usually always fun.
Yeah, they're fun. I mean, I will say that's the one thing. It's a little hard for me to look at it. It's so funny because if you're going to ask about the costumes, like I said, I think the storytelling is so strong. I kind of forget about the costumes and I just accept the world for what it is. The fight scenes a little bit, especially, not that we're professional fighters, but UFC.
We're literally professional wrestlers, though, so we are familiar with fake fighting.
Not great,
which is what they're doing.
We are, and that's just kind of. But also, I feel like for the most part, none of these have been an action movie where I felt like I remember actually this happened when I saw the last Batman movie with Pattinson. Mm-hmm. I'm actually not a fan of action just for the sake of action special effects. Like very rarely am I watching an action scene in an action movie and blown away, like, wow, that looked cool. Like I care more about the story. And you said this, about the episodes I like more than others, So like the ones more focused on the big three and their relationship, I seem to like more than some of the, or even like
when there's a philosophical theme,
like action for the sake of action. They're also pretty short. I feel like they're not. I was going to say they're not
except for the Lazarus.
Yeah, I mean they're not extended though.
But they usually, in my opinion, have built up to it. Sure, and they've earned it. I guess what I'm trying to say.
But I also like something I like, again, not being a violent person by nature, but it's not just action for the sake of action.
Yeah,
like it means something.
Yeah. And I love that Spock has the Vulcan nerve pinch.
Oh, that's great.
The non-violent.
I love what you said, too, that he came up with that.
Yeah, Leonard Nimoy came up with that.
Which it's so hard for me not to, because I feel like I'm going to find spoilers, and you also, I was reprimanded not to do this. But I so much when I watch any movie, though, I immediately go to Wikipedia and I'm looking up details and
You're
stuff
going to get spoilers, man.
I know. That's why I'm trying. I was like, when can I do this? I almost want...
Just send me your questions.
Yeah. It's even because the fact that this is in the 60s and whatnot, I was like, man, should I put on my Christmas list a histories of 60s television? I'm like, there'll probably be spoilers in that.
They'll be like, Gene Roddenberry did this on Star Trek before he did this on TNG.
I know. So...
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So,
that's a question I didn't even know. I'm like, does Roddenberry still write the TNG?
Roddenberry passed away during season 3 of TNG, if I'm not mistaken. But he was involved in it.
I didn't know if I didn't know.
Yes, he was still involved in it.
I'm surprised you told me that.
Well, I mean, that's not really a spoiler for the show.
No, not really. But I was I don't know much about him.
Yeah.
And I'm dying to Google. Even like you said, he had the relationship.
He's a womanizer.
I want to know more about him, but I feel like I'm going to find spoilers.
Yeah, no, you definitely would. You definitely would. Okay, so I know the answer to this one. Episode you'd skip on a rewatch. The alternative factor.
Easy.
If you were going to show somebody an episode from this season to introduce them to Star Trek, which one would you pick?
And I mean, City on the Edge of Forever.
Okay. See, I think I would actually go with The Man Trap. City on the Edge of Forever is better.
Yeah.
But part of the reason why it's so good is because we know Kirk.
We also know the characters.
We know the characters.
But I do like even.
But it's still a great.
You want to know? Even the beginning though, with the portal, I thought that was cool and everything. And what was the voice speaking to that? The person on the planet? Or
no. The voice of the portal was called the Guardian. The Guardian of something of Forever. I can't remember.
Please reprimand him.
Yeah.
This Trekkie over here. That actually might be a question I need to think more about. Even the one,
it's hard, right? Because it's like, well,
we haven't really. The Khan episode was good.
Yeah.
Actually, another one I want to talk about, the Squire Gothos. I thought.
Oh yeah, Trelane.
I mentioned that earlier because this might be the next question about guest stars. That was one of the episodes also with the Gore. What's his name? The one I referenced earlier, not Khan.
Well, it had
the guy
Trelane.
that's like him.
It had Trelane. The Squire of Gothos is the one with the.
No, okay, no, I know, but I want to bring both these episodes up at the same point. Squire of Gothos and the one I said with the guy that was a lot like Kirk.
Core.
Those were the two episodes when I felt Kirk was just in a lot of. Like Squire Gothos, for some reason, watching that, I thought he was in so much danger.
In peril, yeah. He was in peril the whole time.
And then they did like the trial and everything with that, but like I didn't see an easy way for them to get off the planet.
Yeah.
And by this, and I think this hit me because I'm like, I think growing up, we all, like that guy was kind of small and nerdy and obnoxious, but he's like, oh, this is delightful. He's like, oh, you won't be going anywhere soon. Stuff like that, though. But it was such throwaway. It meant more to me than like an immediate threat, like
and the actor
you will die or something. But he was charismatic. He was charming. He's like, oh, silly, you guys aren't going anywhere for a while. And I was like, that terrifies me more than almost.
And Core, in a way, was kind of similar. Not as flamboyant, obviously, but he was like, there was a sophistication to Core.
Exactly.
Where like Core, he would make a threat, but he didn't need to like raise his voice.
No, I remember Squire Gothos. Not only I did like the theatrical elements of it too, but I was like, how are they getting off this planet or getting out of this?
A lot of the episodes that
didn't he neutralize their weapons in Squire Gothos and stuff? I was just like, I don't see. And they're sitting at dinner like when he's laughing about it and all kind of looking at each other like we're fucked.
Yeah.
I remember watching that really feeling trepidatious. I'm like,
and I will say,
I don't know if he's on the list of anybody's favorite. Was he Gothos? What was his name?
Trelane was the character.
Trelane.
Yeah, he called himself the Squire of Gothos.
I thought he was a good guest star.
Yeah, he was great. The guy that played Van Gelder was another one we really liked.
Which one, Van Gelder?
Dagger of the Mind.
Okay,
yeah. We liked him a lot. I mean, honestly, I'm sorry we keep harping on it, but Lazarus was the only bad guest star really this season.
Finnegan disappointed me. Finnegan,
yeah. He was a little over the top.
He wasn't bad. And yeah.
And we usually like over the top, but I don't know. It just didn't work.
We haven't sent one thing.
We still love that episode.
We do like that episode. Like Shore Leave, we haven't.
Oh yeah, Shore Leave we liked a lot.
You know what creeps me out a lot? Because I mean, especially
with Spock being just so aloof and a dick.
Well, and then just seeing that's the first episode where I don't think it's the first one on an Earth-like planet, like Mary or one of them.
It might have been like an early.
No, the one on the Hollywood set with the kids. They were on an Earth.
Oh yeah, they were on the back lot.
But just seeing the Easter Bunny pop up like that, that to me was a fun episode. And seeing, but also wasn't that episode the theme about like traumas of childhood or stuff you're trying to block out, which that's kind of creepy.
Oh yes. I just mixed. Yes, you're right. I mixed a Taste of Paradise. That's the one where like Spock's like telling Jim, "What do you want, Jim?"
Yeah,
which was great. It was fun.
But like Shore Leave was a fun episode.
Yeah, Shore Leave was a lot.
And even that.
And Bones ends up with the two women.
Yeah,
at the end.
It had a lot of. That was the kind of episode I feel like you can do once a season.
Yeah,
kind of like how like a lot of comedies, sitcoms, they do like a Halloween episode. Like one I'll bring up, which is always one reference on Pod Meets World, the Boy Meets World, the Scary Movie. They parody Scary Movie.
Oh, really?
Like,
I've never seen that.
Oh, no, it's in season 5.
I've seen maybe like 20 or so Boy Meets World episodes, maybe more than
It's one of the ones, though, that a lot of fans... And it's funny because it's not my favorite episode because it's not one, again, about more the characters and the heart. It's more... It's like, oh my God, I think he says like he killed Kenny. There's a character named Kenny. It came out like in 98, like South Park.
Of course, yeah.
But it's just like one of those fun. It's a fun episode.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to think about this.
Well, I will say Star Trek in general as a franchise has its share of those like once or twice a season, just a fun episode, a respite, if you will.
Apparently there are a few in TNG from what I've heard.
Man, TNG has some great episodes. I'll just leave it at that. But moving on, let's wrap this up. What do you hope to see in season 2?
I think, not to rehash, I would say I wouldn't mind if a love interest at this point came up. I would feel it was in place, whether it's somebody they meet on one of these planets. More of the secondary characters we discussed, not to rehash. One thing I think I wrote, because there's so many planets, like just like Janus 6, and I'm not going to remember them all off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't think Janus 6.
But I'm like in season 2 or 3, if at some point, and I don't know,
like maybe they come back to Talos.
Yeah, they revisit it. They're like, oh, since the last time we were here, it's changed, or something like that. So I'm like, okay, now you're rewarding me as the viewer.
Maybe we get to see Wrigley's Pleasure Planet. So, real quick, Mike, one thing we haven't done is, and I forgot we were doing this, is the comments from the audience.
Let's do it,
we'll address a few. I got like 35 here. Some of them are really long. And
this actually, I feel like this has gone on longer than we
This has gone on longer than we
But I also think I love it.
Good conversation.
Because we're enjoying it.
Yeah, there's one here that...
I'm curious, because I've read a lot of them, but...
It's I had to take 3 screenshots to capture it all, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, honestly, but I do want to read part of it. This one is from Tranya327. Did Kirk hook up with Helen Noel after the Science Lab Christmas party? Let's pause for a reframe.
She was gorgeous, man.
So he talks about how like Kirk falls genuinely in love a few times. And the creators imply that Kirk went beyond third base with a woman perhaps 3 times. Does Kirk kiss a lot of women? Yep. Is it implied that he had numerous past relationships with various women before he became captain? Absolutely. But the way that Kirk is written and the way Shatner plays Kirk in TOS is actually very contrary to the urban legend of Kirk. Jim Kirk takes being the captain very seriously, so much so that he tries to avoid anything with a subordinate that would carry even a slight hint. That's as far as the comic got. There was a lot that I kind of paraphrased, but we kind of get the gist. So, and I just want
I think it's accurate in the sense that even though we see these fun moments of flirtation and whatnot, no, like it's
Kirk's number one thing.
His number one thing is
the Enterprise. So yeah, so Tranya, I apologize that I can't read the whole comment, but I mean it's very long, and honestly, it's a lot of good stuff. And the rest of the comic talks about, is there sexism on the show? Sure. Do I always agree with the main cast? No, but the series as a whole offers little support for the whole Kirk as a stud.
There is sexism, but let me say, I've never found anything overbearing or...
We haven't seen anything crazy egregious at this point.
There's worse stuff. I saw something on Instagram the other day about this was it. I saw a video about... and I didn't listen to it, but I sent it to somebody. It was about like the football announcers in like a 1980s Dallas Cowboy game talking about the cheerleaders, like the cow.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what they said, but they said it was apparently like the commentators were saying this, and just like they're like it was a different world back then. Yeah. So I think the fact that even this was well before that, the 80s, like I see how people could say there's some sexism, but especially having all the women in prominent positions, I feel like this is ahead of its time. Like we've discussed it a few.
Comment comes from Greg's Workshop 2. Morgan Woodward, who played Dr. Van Gelder, was one of the best character actors of his time. He played the heel very well in a lot of Western movies.
I can see that. I could see that the way he looks. I do think he almost looked like a bit like Gene Wilder, like a little bit.
I could kind of see that. Just love talking about Willy Wonka.
I do. But also, the importance of character actors. They say so much, like I think John C. Reilly is a more recent, even though he's a bigger actor than he was in so many things earlier on in his career, more as a character actor. It's like he's not the leading man. He's either the friend or the confidant offering advice or the obscure something. But there's a character actor. That's his. Yeah. It plays a huge role in any TV show or film.
And he was phenomenal in Dagger of the Mind.
Yeah, he was. He was great.
All right, this one comes from Pepsi Man 990. Favorite episode of season 1? That is literally a Sophie's Choice situation. I mean, you got the Conscience of the King, which we didn't really talk about much.
We did, and it's so funny that the gentleman, Mr. Fine,
Sam Fine,
he didn't seem to be a fan of it, but I think we liked it. Yeah. Which we could talk about
so
that another time.
I mean, you got the Conscience of the King, Balance of Terror, Space Seed, A Taste of Armageddon. I would have to say, though, The City on the Edge of Forever. City has peak writing from Harlan Ellison. Everyone really dialed their acting up to 11 for that one.
It's funny that video just said it was rewritten a few times too, though. I wonder if they just fine-tuned it a little bit to flesh it out.
Yeah, I'd have to look into that more to see like how.
That got me curious when he said that. Yeah,
because Harlan Ellison like gets credit exclusively on everything, even like the graphic novel of it.
Okay.
So I'd have to look into it a little bit more, but
there's a graphic novel on that episode.
Yeah, I've got it somewhere. Yeah.
Do you?
Why I have that one? I don't have that one out. Instead, I have something spoilery out. I couldn't tell you.
Continue.
All right, you continue. All right. Well, not that we're narcissists, but this is a complimentary comment, so we're going to read it.
Yeah, sure.
It comes from my new favorite viewer, Reichensperger, 1847. There are a good many commentators on the original Star Trek series, but you are rare among them in speaking of the art of pacing. The combination of thoughtful insight and unbuttoned reference is delightful. In other words, we yell a lot. But a word of warning, the subtleties of pacing, lighting, and script writing will begin a slow decline over the next 65 or so episodes. Imperceptible at first, embarrassing by the end. When you finish your 3-season run, I urge you to return to watch the first dozen episodes again, and you will be startled at the quality.
That's something now in my head I'm going to look out for going into season 2. Yeah.
He talks a little about TNG, so I'm going to skip that. Then he says, all in all, bravo to you and Mike. Thank you. First of all, for the compliment. Nice. But yeah, generally, and a few other people have commented it. You've probably seen it, that season 3 of TOS is considered by large the worst season.
Well, also in one of the comments I was reading, they like we were just saying, budget concerns, it was canceled. And is it because did they change the writing staff significantly? Was it Roddenberry?
Roddenberry, like basically, there was, I believe, if I remember correctly, a lot of studio interference. They were cutting the budget, and Roddenberry largely was not too involved in the third season because of all those things.
Okay.
He was upset. However, it's not as bad as people. There are some awful episodes in there. I don't think any of the episodes in season 3, except for maybe 1, maybe 2, are as bad as The Alternative Factor.
I just think sometimes
and season 3 has a couple of my favorite TOS episodes.
Does it? I'm curious.
Yeah. So it's fine. It'll be fine. This one comes from 2199 Spudman. Can't wait until Mike gets to the really good episodes. This is one of the second tier episodes. This is a Dagger of the Mind that I'm commenting on. Not bad, but not the best. Certainly not campy. And Mariana Hill, who played Dr. Helen, Dr. Noel, by the way. No. Both of us missed that Dr. Noel was hooking up with Kirk at the Christmas party. Noel, Christmas.
Oh, yes.
I know, I feel like an idiot, like after people pointed out.
It's Noel, I always think, I don't know, this is a total aside, but I don't have kids, but I think Noel's a very pretty name. And with the L, the 2 L's and the E at the end, it's Christmassy, it's nice.
Well, as anyone who's watched Miri knows, I have a vasectomy, so I will never have children.
I drove to Tampa today seeing signs for a vasectomy.
Vast web.
Yeah.
I know it.
You know that sign. Do you leave my house coming back here and like...
That's not who I use, but every time I would pass by it, I would think...
Please don't leave comments about this.
Tell us about your vasectomy experience. Anyways, Mariana Hill, who played her, was an absolute smoke show. You guys are actually turning into one of the best Star Trek reactors out there.
That really means a lot. That's nice.
I think one of the things I respect most is that you realize all the nuances of trying to make a cutting-edge sci-fi show for a 60-minute TV slot is not easy. Also, you appreciate, I'm skimming through some of this, also you appreciate how the actors are really selling their roles, not just reciting lines. This will only get better in the next seasons.
Nice.
So unlike...
That's actually almost the opposite.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Which again, and nobody's right or wrong.
I'm only going to read a couple more short ones. I wanted to read this one from Galen Dougal.
Okay.
Galen Dougal, 8913. Again, I've seen you comment on almost every video, so again, thank you so much for participating.
Appreciate that.
They said, my number 1 episode from season 1 is A Taste of Armageddon, one of our top episodes.
That was probably my second, honestly.
Yeah.
If City on the Edge of Forever, when we watched that, I said Taste of Armageddon.
I'm torn between Balance of Terror and Taste of Armageddon for number 2, but he continues, it asks such an important and relevant question. Do rules of war, meant to make war more humane, just make war more tolerable, allowing it to go on without resistance?
Food for thought.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say, unfortunately, in the history of mankind, I mean, wars, to make an analogy, I mean, it's kind of like, what do they say about the world's oldest profession? It's never going to go away. So, you think that about war, that just the way it's always going to be there, which is sad. But that's very, very reflective and food for thought.
Yeah. I'm going to read this one. I know you've already seen this comment, so don't worry about it being spoilers. I doubt that Mike will remember when we get to it anyway, but because we're a bit away from it. But from user-MG5MV2TN8, did you just go with whatever name Google gave you? What is this username? Thank you for commenting.
I love that you're insulting our audience. That's going to really make us popular.
So this comment is what we're going to close out on. If you're a fan of Star Trek and yoga...
I did see this.
Just wait till you get to the Next Generation.
Oh, I can't wait to see these outfits.
There's one episode with an infamous scene featuring the 2 attractive lead actresses doing yoga together, wearing skin-tight yoga outfits because reasons.
If it's Dr. Noel and the girl in the emerald dress from Mud's Women, I would be ecstatic.
Well, it's Next Generation, so...
I'm kind of in love with those two. They're beautiful women.
That was filmed quite a while after TOS, so yeah, I don't know about you, man, but I'm ready for season 2.
Yeah, we're ready, and we're about to dive into it. I'm going to change my shirt, actually, for the debut. But yeah, this was fantastic. We hope you enjoyed it. Honestly, we talked about a lot here, so this is one laying the feedback. I mean, we'll happily do a follow-up because there might be stuff we got wrong or you agree or disagree. We will do a follow-up if you guys want to hear more. So leave your comments. We love it. We're loving this. Season 2.
Here we come.
Yep.